From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. A lot of young skiers and snowboarders nowadays want to break into an especially daring form of competition. Free skiing is all about performing jumps and other stunts on camera. Free skiers build huge followings on social media and win endorsements. But breaking into this sport is dangerous. Last week marked 1 year since the death of 21-year-old Colorado skier Dallas LeBeau. He died while attempting to jump across Highway 40 on Berthoud Pass near Winter Park. Dallas had dreamed up the stunt to win a contest that would have netted him $30,000 and greater exposure on social media. After Dallas's accident, his friend and mentor Bob Holm decided free skiers like Dallas need a new kind of training. Bob is a retired Olympic ski jumper who is now maintenance director for Winter Park Resort. And he recently launched a class to teach young skiers and snowboarders how to attempt these tricks more safely.
It was almost immediately after I got word of Dallas's accident. I had talked with his parents and some industry colleagues, and immediately we knew that there was a gap in understanding and an education in the backcountry that might have helped make a different outcome. It was literally within the first 24 hours that we rallied the troops and started getting people together to create this class.
You watched Dallas grow up with your own son on the ski slopes. Tell us a little bit about Dallas. What drew him to wanting to perform big jumps with flips and tricks, or in ski industry terms, free skiing?
Dallas was a tremendous skier and very talented and had that edge of being willing to put himself out to learn new tricks and to perform new tricks. And it was great watching him grow up, both through slope style, which is jumps and rails, and then as he moved into the free skiing realm that he coached at Winter Park.
And Bob, just from the little bit of reading that I have done, it sounds like Dallas was just a tremendously talented young skier.
He was, and he just had a great balance of hard work and wanting to help others as he went along. And he just had a lot of people that loved him, including my son. It's just such a tragic loss to lose such a great kid, a great talent.
You competed in the Olympics yourself for ski jumping in 1992 and 94. That is an era that predates social media. How have you seen social media alter the competitive ski and snowboard industry?
You know, it's been really interesting. Back in the day when I was jumping, the excitement and the thrill of what you did was really something that was for yourself and those who were potentially at the venue at the time. With the onset of social media, it really changed the game where not only do you feel good when you have the moment and have a great execution of a trick or a jump, but then you get to relive it time and time again, both from the recorded video that was taken, from people cheering you on with followers. So it's really interesting that now you have an audience that is looking and appreciating what you're doing, which increases the longevity of those moments where back in the day it was very short-lived.
Sure. And some of these videos are thrilling. What do you think viewers miss when all we see is a 5 or 10-second video of someone flying through the air, doing flips, and then sticking the landing?
What they see is the tremendous outcome. What they don't see is the hours and days and months and sometimes years in preparation. All you see is the 5, 10-second clips that end up on social media.
Bob, you called the class Dallas's class in tribute to Dallas LeBeau. You offered the first class in December. It's a one-day workshop that covers training on the slopes, how to build jumps, and then how to set up for a perfect video shot, as well as other safety training. What is the big takeaway you want kids to get from this class?
We designed the class to educate all the elements that go into planning something, especially when it's in a remote location. There's a lot of pre-planning, preparation, choosing who you want to be out on the mountain with. There's a lot of elements that we want to make sure were communicated that weren't, to this point, communicated in what is a traditional snow safety class. And then also layer on the snow education and an avalanche safety in addition to that.
And when you say a remote location, You're talking about like out in the backcountry?
Yeah, locations where cell service might be non-existent and the ability to make quick moves if something doesn't go as planned.
I'm curious, how do you make safety seem exciting to kids in a sport that revolves around these extreme stunts?
That was one of our main goals when we got going. And I worked with the leading film producer and director of free skiing and skiing of the day, and also athletes who spend time in the backcountry to give their stories. And, collectively in that class, we had social media influencers that had, over 500,000 followers. And so it's really cool for the attendees to want to be not just looking at their heroes on their phone, but sitting in the room, hearing the stories and really appreciating what goes into these type of projects.
You had 67 students show up for the class. What was the most memorable moment from that day?
For me, the thing that resonated the most is at 4:15 in the afternoon, when everybody had had an incredibly long day of sitting and learning and being out on the hill, everybody was still there. Everybody was still leaning into what they were hearing. And with that age group, that's really rare. Usually you have people kind of zoning out or maybe getting tired, but instead they were on their feet and just chatting away and in no hurry to leave.
And what was the age range of these students generally?
It was 14 and up. And might I add, another great takeaway to that day was seeing Dallas's parents
Mm.
and
Mm.
having them feel the legacy that was being created and the memory that was being created to create something good out of such a tragedy.
Yeah. With just the sheer number of people filming themselves doing stunts on social media, it is surprising to me that this kind of class hasn't existed before. How have people in the free skiing world responded since the class ran?
It's interesting you asked that because that was my first thought when I, quote, came up with the idea. I thought to myself, this has to already be there. There has to be content like this out there in the world. And so I looked around and asked all the people that I knew to ensure that there wasn't. And the surprising thing is the absence of this type of material, not only in free skiing, but in other remote sports, whether it be surfing, backcountry snowmobiling, like all of that. It was really surprising that nothing had been done, which gave us the runway to create something from scratch that could potentially be universally applied to different sports and incorporate different heroes into it.
Bob Holm created what's called Dallas's Class to help aspiring free skiers stay safe while they perfect and film their stunts. By the way, he mentioned that the family of Dallas LeBeau, whose death inspired Bob to create the class, donated money to train many of the students in backcountry safety. We'll have links to more on the class and an amazing recent Washington Post story about Dallas LeBeau in our show notes and at KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thank you so much for listening.